Sometimes you just want ribs, and that's how I'm feeling today. But I'm not just gonna do my ordinary ribs. Today, I'm gonna be doing my glazed party ribs out on the Oklahoma Joe's Highland. What are party ribs? Well, you'll see a little bit later on. But what we're starting with are 2 racks of St. Louis cut spare ribs. I've trimmed them up a little bit, and now I'm just gonna hit them with some rub. Now the rub I'm gonna be using is Bob's Smokin' Southern Barbecue Wing and Rib Rub Seasoning. The company reached out to me, asked if they could send me some rubs to try. I said sure. I've used them a couple times in tests, and they are really good. This is a US-based, veteran-owned company. I will put a link down in the description to their website so you can check them out. I know that this rub is gonna be great on these St. Louis cut ribs and the perfect base for our glazed party ribs. So let's get them seasoned up. I'm not using any binder. There's plenty of moisture on these racks. And as these are called glazed party ribs, you're probably guessing there's going to be some saucing involved later. You're correct. But it may not be the exact way you think. Similar to a way I've done ribs before in a video, but not exactly. You may notice that the membrane is still on these ribs. That's for a reason. Giving a little seasoning there. We don't need much on the back. All right, these ribs look good. Let's get them out to the Oklahoma Joe's Highland. All right, we've got good smoke coming out of the Oklahoma Joe. Temperature's running a little bit high. I want to keep it right around the 250 range today. So let's go ahead and get these on and then we'll check the fire. Our first rack on here. I have one of my mini water pans that's full nearest the firebox, and a second one also full near the smokestack side of the cook chamber. Let's go ahead and get this closed up so these ribs can start smoking. Let's check the firebox, and yeah, it's still got the rust on it. I haven't gotten around to sanding and repainting it yet. Maybe in the spring. It's been too wet this winter. I'm burning hickory today, and it looks like it's time to add another piece. All right, our wood is looking good. Let's close it up. As you can see, I have the firebox side door closed, but the damper fully open. And I'm gonna run it just like that unless I need to adjust that temperature. As I said, the temperature I'm shooting for today in the Oklahoma Joe's Highland is 250 degrees. If it's anywhere between 225 and 275, that'll be fine. Lower range would be better for me. We're gonna go about 3 hours before we check these. And at that 3-hour mark, we're gonna take these ribs off and we're gonna cut them into individual ribs. We're gonna sauce them, put them in a pan, cover it up, put it back on there for probably an hour or so. And then once that's done, we're gonna take them out of that pan, put a little bit more of that rub on them, put them back on the cooking grates, and let them smoke that last half hour to an hour until they're just perfectly tender. Then they will be individual glazed party ribs. You won't have to cut anything, just pick one up off the plate, have a bite. So I'll bring you back in a few hours when it's time to check these. All right, we are about 2 hours in. We're not gonna open up the cooking chamber because I still wanna give that another hour before we check that, but temperature's dropping down to about 230 now. It was running about 255, so time to add some more wood. I added some about an hour ago. Let's add some more. Shake some of the ash down. A couple pieces of hickory in there because everything's burned down in there. Let that get catching. I'm gonna prop the door open with my tongs a little bit while we scrape out some of the ash. That's my ash rake and clear it out. Help keep some good airflow going. Hose that back up. All right, our hickory's going good now. Close it up, keep smoking. I'll see you in about an hour. All right, we are 3 hours in. We've got good smoke rolling. Pit temp's a little high right now. It's above 275. This is perfect timing because we're gonna take these ribs off to prep them for the next stage of this cook. See how these ribs are doing. Really looking good. Since we're gonna be taking these off to prep them, I'm just curious what the flex is right now. Pretty good flex. All right, we're gonna get these off, get them in a foiled pan temporarily, take them over to our other table to prep them. Looking really nice. Good pullback on the bones, you can see right there. They're definitely not done yet though. That's all right, because now we're gonna cut them into individual ribs. This is one of the reasons that I left the membrane on. I've done it a few times, and there are times when the meat just sort of separates. And I want to keep the meat on these ribs, so that membrane will help hold it. If you really don't want the membrane, you could remove it. Once these are cut, I'm just going to move them back into the foil pan. Already getting a nice little start of a smoker in there. Not really deep yet, and probably won't get any more now because we're moving on to a different method. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to hit these with a little bit of a spray. It's a 1-to-5 mixture of apple cider vinegar and cranberry juice. 1 part apple cider vinegar, 5 parts cranberry juice. Next, I'm going to add maybe half a cup, 3/4 of a cup of agave syrup. If you want to use honey instead, you can. Then I'm going to add an entire jar of Memphis-style barbecue sauce. This is made by my friend Scott over at The Real Show Barbecue. I've used his products many times. He makes great sauces. I'm also going to add a cup of brown sugar. And then a generous little pour of some Jack Daniels BBQ Sauce also. We're going to really be mixing up the flavors here today. Get in there and mix everybody up. Get everybody coated. Every side. Roll them around. We want that sweet, sticky glaze everywhere. Then once everybody's coated, just try and spread everybody out so we don't have too many laying on top of each other here. It's not a slumber party. All right, that looks good. Now we're going to cover this with a double layer of foil. All right, let's get this back on the Oklahoma Joe's Highland. Close it up, keep it cooking. See you back here in about an hour. All right, our individual ribs have been in that foil pan for about an hour. Let's move on to the next step. Let's get our foil off here. Ah, yes, sticky, glazy goodness. Now let's get these individual ribs back on the smoker. Just one at a time. I'm going to carefully place them. If you have meatier ones, you might want to put those closer to the firebox side. You want to get these bone side down. Try and leave a little bit of daylight between them. Any little ones kind of tuck off to the back or the side closest to the smokestack. Now I'm just going to hit these with some more of this Bob's Smokin' Southern Barbecue rub on top of that glaze. Man, this smells amazing right here, right now. All right, that's good. We don't have to go heavy with it. All right, these are going to go for about 30 minutes. Get some more of that hickory smoke, and our ribs are going to be done. All right, we've been going for another half hour with these glazed ribs sitting in there, absorbing that hickory smoke. Let's see how they're looking. Those are looking mighty good. All right, let's get these off of here, get them inside, and have a taste. Here they are, our glazed party ribs. I hope you can just see the shiny glaze on these. And if you want to add more, you can. You can take your own sauce, brush it on here at the end, sprinkle some sesame seeds, anything you want. The idea is cooking these in that glaze to really develop the flavor around the outside. And let me tell you, that hickory smoke, just like any smoke, loves moisture. So when you have that glaze on the outside, especially in that last 30 minutes there, that smoke is really gonna lay right on the surface. I've done these before. I can tell you when I bite into these, there's gonna be a great hickory flavor. So let's not waste any more time. It's time to taste. Look at that. Beautiful color, beautiful glaze on the outside. That little extra hit of rub there I know is going to bring some more flavor. You can see great pullback on the meat from the end of the bone. Now, I don't like to cook my ribs to falling apart. If you want them falling apart, I would give them probably another 30 minutes in the foil pan before you do that final 30 minutes. The total cook time today for these ribs was about 4.5 hours, which is pretty quick for a rack of St. Louis cut spare ribs. Usually for me, those are more in the 5.5 to 6 hour range. But when you cut them, you allow the heat to come at all sides at the same time. So that last little bit does move a little quicker. Now let's have a taste. Oh man, look at that. Clean bite, comes right away without being fall apart. Yes, the membrane is on there, but honestly, it's really hard to detect at this time because the flavor is just hitting you. Get another bite here. Do I have any on my face? I mean, look at that. It pulls right away as you bite it. That's what I want when I make ribs. It's like a little porky popsicle. Now, these are great to prepare a day or two ahead and then reheat them in the oven in a pan or out on the grill in a pan before you're gonna serve them. So you don't have to do these right at the time you're gonna serve them, but I tell you, if you do and people see them, they're gonna start disappearing. The flavor of that Bob's Smokin' Southern Barbecue on here is fantastic. That's like that bottom layer of flavor here. You have that, you have the glaze, the sauce, and you have the smoke. They all work terrifically together, but I gotta say that rub is really good. I'm gonna be using that again. So with just a few extra steps on your part, you can really up your rib game for a party, for the Super Bowl, for family dinner, just by breaking that rack down after it's cooked for a while and creating these individual glazed party ribs, which are amazing.